Hello, everyone, and welcome back to It's Got Legs, episode 2. We are here at Centre Parks, as we said we would be last week. But before we talk about the parkrun we've just done and where we are and what parkrun we've done, I just want to start by saying thank you very, very much. We've had amazing support and following
it has been.
from one episode. I think filming this podcast right now, we're currently on 66 followers on Instagram.
Yep.
We're on...
It's around 45 viewers on YouTube as well.
That's quality.
So it takes the overall
for a whole
viewership for the first episode
over 100, which is mega. And I think we all sort of anticipated friends and family to listen.
Yeah.
And we've had a few from across the globe.
Yeah.
Which is pretty nuts.
One of you guys in San Jose, California.
Yeah.
So thank you for listening.
Spread the word.
Other side of the pond.
Yeah. So make sure, if you're not already, make sure you're following us on at It's Got Legs Pod across all platforms on social media. It would be amazing if we can get to 100 followers on Instagram. I know it's maybe a bit of an ask, but 66 for a week to go from 0 to 66 is massive. So hopefully in a week, if we can get to 100, that'd be amazing.
Absolutely.
But yeah, no, thank you very much. But yeah, so what was the parkrun called that we did today?
It was the old Showfield in front.
Showfield. Yeah.
No, it was good.
Just Jack, before you get going, obviously it was a big one last week. Will's 50th. That was like a very big occasion, but this week is also a big occasion. Jack, take it away.
Yeah, so I mean, we'll start from when we got there, right? So we were all started the brief before the parkrun started, and we were having a look around at the course, thinking it looks quite flat. It was just around a park, so it was 3 3/4 laps of the park. And during the briefing, the race director was saying that there's just this one hill that, looking at it, wasn't particularly steep, wasn't particularly long, and coming from Wakehurst, which is full of steep, long hills, I think we were all thinking this has got legs for a PB here. So I think you started off saying,
well, I sort of fancied all of us to go for a PB, but actually all of us to go on an away day parkrun and then all just run off was a bit. So between us, we were like, well, whose PB is probably the most attainable? And I mean, Max, you're quicker than both of us.
Yeah.
And mine's obviously middle ground. And Jack, yours was just below 26 minutes?
Yeah, 26:53, I think it is.
Yeah. So as a team, we sort of were like, right, let's go for Jack's PB today.
Yeah. So yeah, setting off, I felt like starting at a 5 minute per kilometre pace would have been attainable, at least to pick up some ground, and then towards the end we could tail off, and at least then I'd still be in a great chance of getting a PB. So we set off. I think first couple of laps around the park, first couple of kilometres were slightly under the 5 minute pace, which is good. Quite a quick set off. We tapered back a little bit in the middle section. But so essentially on the route, you had to climb that hill 3 times. And I remember on the second time round thinking, like, PB's absolutely on. Like, I've got one more of these in me without a problem. But then I think it was on the last one, we got to the top of the hill. I'd essentially come to terms with the fact that I've got the PB that's in the bag now.
God, you thought that early.
Yeah, but it was all downhill from then on, and I still had a lot.
A K left from there.
I still had a lot in my legs.
Just to jump in here, Jack. Sorry. So like when we kind of like agreed that we were going to try and get Jack's PB, Will suggested that he sets the pace because it was like quite a thin path. So if Will was the pacemaker, Jack is behind, and then I was then behind. So it was like a Jack sandwich. And
if there's one thing that I feel like I'm quite good at, is running at a consistent
pace. And it's something I struggle with. I mean, I kept saying during the run, like, boys can go faster.
Max.
It was literally like
we were 100 meters
literally,
and I was controlling the pace. We were at a 4:53, and you were like, "I think we should pick this up, Will." And I was like, "No, I think we're all right."
I think we're a bit carried away. But then, like, me and Will were just like saying every single motivational quote to Jack to get him through it. And like, obviously, last week we were bigging up, thanking the marshals. This week, I mean, Jack was unable to do that. It was
I was so locked in about halfway around.
Yeah.
Just quickly, the marshals at this parkrun seemed extremely like buzzing that we were thanking them all the time.
Yeah, it's not common.
Have a good weekend, and they were so happy that we were thanking them, and it just
always thank the marshals.
Loved that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I love that.
Anyway,
sorry.
came round the final lap.
Yes, yeah, we got up to the top of the hill, and I was so confident like we could just maintain that pace, get over the line, and definitely beat the PB. But then I think you said that
so we'd sped up slightly on the last one once we got to the top of the hill, and we were averaging a 5:01.
Yeah.
Which is way below your PB anyway.
Oh yeah.
If we'd continued at that pace, we would have beaten your PB by 50 seconds?
About that, yeah.
But we were about 0.3 into the K, and we were at a 4:30 pace. Yeah. And I was like, Jack, sub 25's on here.
Yeah.
And as I said that,
I was just like, it's on, and I don't know what came over me.
I turned to Will. I was like, well, I can't keep up with him. He's gone. He let off this massive grunt and just took off.
Honestly, it was like
it's such a weird thing. Person. Like for me, having set the pace and then suddenly you speeding up, I couldn't speed my legs up to then get up with you because I was so focused on running at this constant speed.
Yeah, all I had in my mind was like, this is the best I've ever felt at this point during a 5K. I'm just going to give it what I've got left in the tank, and absolutely proceeded to do that.
You were powering at the end, and then like you were slightly ahead of us, and then we caught up, and then I think you thought the finish was slightly earlier.
It was, because I thought like because it's a lapped course, I thought I knew that section of the track quite well, but we got to like second to last corner, I think it was, and I completely forgot about this little incline. So it's just a tiny little uphill over the brow of the hill, and I had completely forgotten about that. Got to that point and thought, oh my god, I've gone too soon.
Because I was struggling to like maintain my pace, and Will, you had to drag me back. You're like, Will, come on, Jack's got to go. Jack's got to go. Yeah, mate, you did it.
Yeah,
what was the time?
So my Strava said the 5K pace was 24:04, but I think overall run was about 24:20.
Hey, that's big.
Yeah, that's what came through on my parkrun.
We were getting in the car to drive back today, and like it was like Jack was floating. You were
honestly,
so happy.
I was buzzing. It was so good.
It's a big achievement, mate. You should be buzzing.
It was, it was like a minute and a half PB. Bearing in mind we were quite heavy on the beers the night before. Didn't get a very good night's sleep, obviously being here in Centre Parks. So yeah, no, absolutely buzzing.
Just on that, like obviously a massive achievement for you, Jack. Obviously, like running the 5K in your new PB time. But one thing we spoke on, we were walking back earlier, which I wanted to talk about now, just because I want to put like listeners off, because what's been really great about doing this first episode is I've had quite a lot of friends message me, obviously saying some really nice things about the podcast, so thank you very much. But also I'd like to say a couple of people have said, I really like would love to get into running. Like you've kind of you kind of encouraged me to get into running. And we had a conversation, the three of us, when we were walking back, about how 5K, like, well, you've got a really good chat about this, like how 5K is like the only distance.
It's weird, isn't it? The 5K, there's a weird stigma around 5K that it's like the only distance you can do, and anything below it is sort of deemed.
It's almost perceived as a minimum distance, isn't it?
Yeah, and I know that's like obviously set from events and stuff, and that's where racing comes from. But sort of what we were saying is, for people that are getting into running or people that are just casual runners, why does 5K have to be
your starting point?
Your starting point, because 5K for us, like I said before, I find 5K the hardest distance because you feel like you have to go flat out for the whole thing. Because we like 22 minutes of exercise.
Intense
doesn't feel like a lot, but it's intense, and you're going for times. And everybody is obsessed about times when it comes to 5K. But one thing I just think we need to break that stigma of is it doesn't need to be 5K.
If you want to start running and you want to get into running, you don't have to start with doing a 5K, because if you haven't run before, this 5K is going to take you potentially like 35, 40, maybe 45 minutes. It might take you. That's a long time to be doing exercise, especially if you are trying to learn to enjoy it, I guess. So like, if I just wanted to bring it up and be like, if you want to start running, and if it's a 1K run,
everything's relative, right? It's all about your own effort.
Yeah, exercise is exercise. It's good. It's positive.
Absolutely.
Hope you don't mind, boys, but I want to kind of make it about me. Obviously, I did something quite big last week, buzzing.
He did.
Did my half marathon. We spoke about it on the
Congrats,
first
mate.
pod. Well,
very well done.
Thank you very much. Yeah, buzzing. I've actually brought my vest with me, so for those of you who are watching and viewers, I've got my running vest for the half marathon. Excuse me, I also hold this mic pretty awkwardly. And then on the back, what I've done is I've written all the names of the people who donated and sponsored me for
it's a lovely
nice
touch.
for the run, which
Is
I
your
really...
name not on there, Jack? Oh no, just
It is,
about,
yeah.
just
No,
about.
it is.
Just
Yeah,
about.
no,
Yeah,
you did.
yeah.
Yeah,
There's
you
two
did,
of me actually.
Last minute donation.
but yeah, no, just it was yeah. I managed to
Just waiting
raise.
till
So
Yeah.
I was running for the charity Young Epilepsy. Managed to raise £620. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
very
well
over
done.
the moon with that. Like really buzzing. But controversy behind this half
Yes,
go
marathon.
on.
It's
So
been a big news story.
well, before I tell the controversy, obviously I set off. It was an amazing day. It was an amazing occasion. So the weather was incredible.
Yeah.
Friends and family were there. Like it was like an amazing day.
How did you find the event in terms of, obviously before you go on to the controversy, like in terms of there being crowds and stuff? Because this is the first event you've done, right?
Yeah, it was just like the most. London is a weird place. Like
Yeah.
London is like it's a city, but you have to have your wits about you, especially like not being
Yeah.
from there. It's the first time being in London, be like the most relaxed and comfortable and like
Really, yeah.
inspired I've ever felt. It was so like even like Serena like being there. Serena's is really has her guards and like guard up and wits about her whenever we go into London together.
Yeah.
But she was like, it was an amazing day. Like the crowds are so supportive. The atmosphere was incredible. Everyone was so encouraging to each other. It was like really inspiring. And yeah, like I remember I was in the second wave, and I remember my start time. I think it was like 9:20, and it got to 9:20. We hadn't met. I don't think it was quite busy, but obviously these events are like
They're usually
clockwork.
pretty on it. Yeah.
So I remember, but I didn't really think anything of it. But yeah, set off. And I remember thinking, "Wow, I'm running quite quick here." Like I didn't really think about my pacing. I just set off, and I knew I was running quite fast, but I felt quite.
It's so easy with the crowd.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Like, having done a few events,
Yeah,
because everyone shoots off, and it's exactly the same. Even like the start of a park run is exactly the same.
Yeah. I mean, like
everyone's like, "Let's go."
When I got sent my pack through about it, I was told, I was kind of encouraged. You're not told. It's not that you're told what to do or what not to do, but it was encouraged that you don't wear headphones.
Yeah,
right.
Just because of like be a bit more aware of your surrounds and also like taking on board the atmosphere.
Yeah, also being quite present. I suppose,
and I started with headphones in.
Right.
But I've got the Apple noise cancelling ones, but I didn't have the noise cancelling on. I didn't have music on. I just put them in just because they make it easier. If I do want to put music on, then I just can do it really easy with my watch. And less than half a kilometer in, I took them out.
Yeah.
And just embraced it and just took on board like everything. It was incredible.
So I did that. So for the marathon, I didn't run with any music.
Yeah.
And I trained without music, and I feel like that's given me a whole like new perspective on running.
Yeah.
Because when you train with music, you're so dialed into what you're listening to that I don't feel like you really concentrate your surroundings. You could be running in amazing places.
Yeah.
And be like how you're running. And now I'm very, I mean, it's very stat stuff. I'm very focused on like cadence and pace and what's around you and what's going on. But I do feel like running without headphones. And I know some people, when they run by themselves, find it quite boring. But being in and around like your surroundings, especially when there's a crowd, is just, I don't know, it's a very different experience.
Especially like because I was running. It was really good to take on board like that atmosphere because I was running for the charity. Like all these people had donated to me to this charity, and I felt like this responsibility to like do this event, but also like take on board everything. And what was a really nice touch when I was running along, obviously my name was on the front, so like I was getting some really nice like encouragement from the crowd. But then I'd run past people and I could hear, oh, that's a really nice thing. And the charity got in touch with me as well, Young Epilepsy, to just send me an email on the Monday. Did I tell you this? They emailed me on Monday, just checking in how I was, like how my legs were.
Nice.
And then they were like once again, like thank you so much, like for the money you've raised, and also we love the touch you did with the vest. Like I think it was between miles 9 and 10, they had like the Young Epilepsy charity had like their own standpoint, and like seeing them spurring me on, like my family cheering me on, my friends cheering me on. That was really, really nice.
Do you know one really cool thing about like London Marathon is when you
mate. Yeah, we know you did the marathon.
When you run for a charity, afterwards they all have like it's not a station, but in different hotels and stuff, they host spaces. So cool. Afterwards you go and you're with all the other runners that have just done it for the same charity.
Yeah, that's
and
nice.
They give you free food, massages, and all sorts, and you just get talking to all these people. And obviously, all running it for very similar reasons, and that's such a cool experience. Being like, wow, like there's so many people that are like rallying together for this charity.
Yeah. So, anyway, coming along, I remember I said that I was put down for a 1:45 pace. Obviously,
Yeah.
with my knee injury and my training, I didn't think it was quite achievable. So I said to myself, if I can get under 2 hours, I'll be really, really happy with that time.
Yeah.
So I managed to, back end of it, like the last couple of miles, mentally, I was gone. Really struggled, lost my pace, obviously going too fast. But yeah, that's the other thing about the pace that I'd set myself. I accidentally set a 10K PB.
Incredible.
And I can't remember what it was, like 50 odd minutes. And then between miles 10, no, sorry, between kilometer 10 and kilometer 15, I ran a 22-minute 5K, which again is like quite quick.
That's a very
and
fast
I wasn't
15
intending to do that.
kilometers, yeah.
So then the back end of it, like I really dropped off. I was really struggling mentally. I was really struggling. The crowd is really like spurring me on. And also like, because there's a big thing, I know people like talk about like Apple Watches and like Garmin watches, like what's accurate, and like I sometimes feel like my Apple Watch isn't necessarily like, even when we do like a 5K at parkrun, like it doesn't come up like I've done 5K sometimes. So I wasn't really too sure like where I was at. So I was finding it really difficult to judge where I was at in the run. So I couldn't really gauge where the end of this half marathon was.
Have they got good signage up? Or
yeah, they do, but I'm dyslexic, and I was just struggling to like, I couldn't work out if I'm turning into mile 10 or if I'd done 10 miles. Like I was finding out quite tricky to like work out. Anyway, so then coming towards the finish, I remember across the finish line, and it said on my watch 20K.7, so 20.7.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But I didn't really think anything of it, like at all. I just thought, because obviously that happens to me all the time.
Point 4.
Whatever it is.
It
It was like 20.7, and then but it was a 150. So buzzing with that.
But also on those routes, it's those routes are measured on one line, so you can take wide lines or short lines. So there's always that, because I mean, we keep going on about the London Marathon, but they've literally got a blue line around the whole thing, which is what they've measured it from.
Yeah. That is like the proper line. So we didn't have that this time. So it was just like running on the roads and stuff. So across the line, 150, obviously absolutely buzzing. Got my medal. Had to walk for fucking ages. Had to walk for ages to get to my friends and family and see them, and like it was an amazing thing. And then the email came through and a statement was released from the organisers of the event to say that unfortunately, due to an emergency that was out of the organisers' control that happened in London just before it started, they had to divert the route, they had to change the route, and it was 700 metres short.
That is such a shame, isn't it? Because there's so many people that have come to that race either trying to set a PB. It's like yourself, it's the first event you've done.
Times people racing,
people racing officially.
It's really controversial as well. Obviously, like, there are professional athletes that were there to like try and like qualify or like compete or better their PBs. There was also like world records. There was did you see those guys on TikTok?
Yes.
There was like I think four, five,
five of them,
a group of 5 people who dressed in tandem as like a bus.
Did you see the video of them when they tested it and they were like, and they went out their first like when they built it and they ran and they were like, looks nothing like a bus. and then they had to take it back and they proper did it up. And
I saw them running.
I
ran past them and stuff. Cool. Yeah, it's really cool. But and they did it. They beat the world record, but it doesn't count because it's not 700. It's 700 meters short.
Heartbreaking. But like now, think for them, if they want to then go and do that again, that's like months now of preparation, trying to find another event, making sure that they can get Guinness Book of World Records down to officiate it.
It's so hard. Like the feeling I got when I crossed the line, like, was a massive sense of achievement, and like I was feeling,
and it still is, regardless whether the route was short or not. I know technically it's not a half marathon that you were running, but it's still an incredible achievement.
Yeah, and I guess I have covered that distance, like the amount of walking I did at the end, because like there was a big funnel finish to get to the end, to then find your friends and family. So I'd have covered that distance. It's just the 150 doesn't reflect my time, so I don't actually know how.
I mean, it wouldn't be a huge amount different.
Yeah, no. And I guess if I would have known, like where I was, I would have kind of maybe picked up.
Let's say 700 meters.
What? A minute, less than a minute.
Maybe, I don't know, but But basically, I want to. But now I'm like, I think the big thing I've come away from, though, which the one thing we all haven't spoken about, that how I'm feeling about like just exercise in general, is that like when I signed up for this half marathon, like I had a real sense of like purpose. So like I think that's why a lot of people do these kind of events, not just for charity, but also like to give yourself like the focus, motivation to do things. And I kind of the day after, obviously, my legs were very tight, very sore. My feet as well. My left foot was like really, really sore actually. Like using the massage gun loads. But then I hit Tuesday and like already
Let's go again.
going to the like, why am I going to that? I need to book. I need to get something.
I need something in.
It's like that. It's a weird drug, and you put yourself through hell. But like the endorphins, and the sense of achievement and everything after you've done these events, and you'll get there when you do your half.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're suddenly like, what's next? Let's go again. Because also it's the sense of purpose as well. It's something to really focus on.
But that medal that then like represents all of that hard work that I've got at home is like so like
because it's not just actually the hardest bit about running events is not the actual day. Everyone always says the actual day, just enjoy it.
Yeah,
I know you're going for a time, but enjoy it. The hardest bit is the months of preparation that you put in beforehand, which is actually the grind.
It's like the iceberg thing, isn't it? It's like the tip of the iceberg is the race, but everything else underneath you don't see is like all that hard work there.
Yeah. Exactly that. Yeah. So, but speaking of distances and stuff, I actually did a bit of research on some stats on. I know we talk about Garmin's, Apple Watches, and stuff, and actually all three of us record our runs differently.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
I record mine on a Garmin, and I bought that when I was training for a London Marathon.
Yep.
You record yours on an Apple Watch, and that's just a choice of having an Apple Watch, right? That's not out choosing running. And you, Jack, record it on Strava on your phone, right?
Yeah, just old school. Haven't invested in a watch or anything yet.
Yeah, because you're pretty new into it.
Yeah.
So I actually looked into some stats of it. So today's park run. So Jack, yours came in at 5:05.
Distance, right?
Distance. Yeah. Which you say you were 0.5
kilometers
over.
Yeah.
The 5K. Max, yours came in at 4.87, but I think you started yours a bit late.
Yeah, I mean, I was a bit of frenzy at the start. I was struggling. I had to find the actual run on my watch, and then didn't know if it was and when it was starting. But yeah.
And then so mine came in at 4.98, which is probably the most accurate, almost bang on. Still short, which is a little bit annoying, but that would just be where we've run in the route or the GPS. So I thought I'd look into how accurate all of these ways of measuring runs are, because obviously there's a lot of debate. There's a lot of debate of Apple Watches not being accurate.
Yeah.
So I looked into it. So over a 5K distance, which is obviously the sort of shortest distance in terms of a running race, a Garmin is 10 to 15 meters accurate. So for mine, that's pretty accurate for what it was today.
Yeah.
An Apple Watch is 20 to 30 meter accurate. So it could almost be double as inaccurate as a Garmin.
Right.
But then recording on your phone, Jack, can be up to 50 meters.
Yeah.
Just for a 5K.
Yeah. Which
it reflects today.
Because I've gone 50 meters too long. Right?
So for a casual runner, I don't think it matters too much. There's not a huge amount there. But when you get into the big distances, I think this is when it actually really matters, right? So a full marathon on the Garmin, it reckons a Garmin is 40 to 100 meters accurate. So 0.1 of a kilometer.
Yeah.
It could be inaccurate by. So that, I mean, as far as GPS and stuff goes, that's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
An Apple Watch is 100 to 200 meters, which again is almost double, but it's still relatively accurate.
Yeah.
My only thing with the Apple Watch was I had to buy a Garmin because mine ran out of battery all the time.
Yeah,
the Apple Watch
life is
battery life.
Good, yeah.
But then running on your phone, just on Strava, can be up to almost 500 meters inaccurate, which is almost half a kilometer.
Wow. Yeah, which is crazy, right? If you run a marathon and you're half a kilometer one way or the other in the wrong direction, it's not great. It's just such a poor reflection of what you've actually done.
Yeah, so it's interesting because I don't think the Garmin and the Apple Watch, when you look at it on paper, it's not a huge amount, but when you're getting serious about running, it obviously shows that watches like a Garmin, if they want to sponsor us, they can.
Please do.
Are much more accurate, and timings and everything like that will be to the T, and that will help with your pacing and everything like that. And obviously I like it because you can have your cadence and everything like that.
Yeah.
It shows for you, Jack, getting into running, and you're going to start your half marathon training soon, is that if you're going to be serious about timings and distances, definitely investing in something that will track your runs better
accurately,
is the way forward. Yeah.
especially if you're trying to go for, say, a PB or just a specific time target. It really does matter, because if you're putting in all of that effort and you think you're, say if I feel like I'm covering, I don't know, a 10-kilometer distance in training, but really I'm half a kilometer short, like it's not going to be truly reflective of the actual time in the race. So it is definitely
half a kilometre. Like that's
a lot.
I mean, that's with your run short. That's 2.5, 3 minutes, however you're running.
Yeah,
like that's a lot. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting. I thought I'd bring that to the table.
No, that's wicked. Thank you, Will. It's very, very interesting. Well, I've got something I wanted to bring to the table today.
Yeah.
Very much like you've just done, Will, to be fair. We all kind of, before we sat down to record this podcast today, we said we'd all bring something to the table, but we wouldn't tell each other what we were going to bring.
Yeah.
So I've got a question for you boys.
Go on.
So if you were to run a park run with a celebrity,
dead or
alive,
alive.
We'll say alive. So a celebrity that's alive, who would you choose and why?
So immediately, I don't know why, my mind has gone straight to football. And being a Liverpool fan, it's just gone Stevie G. I don't know what it is.
To be fair, as a Liverpool fan, the first thing that comes into my head is like, he's the guy you idolise as a kid, right?
Yeah. And I just want to run, I think, just a casual, relatively, like, just plodding along pace.
You wouldn't want to like try and beat him, like could say, I beat Steven Gerrard on a 5K, or you'd want to like run another chat with him.
Still probably have it in him to beat me.
He looks fit. He's playing a Legends match the other day. He looked fit. Yeah.
But no, I think just pick his brain, have a chat. I mean, we were chatting this morning about Istanbul. Picking his brains on that experience
wasn't a dream; it was a reality.
Exactly.
Will?
Yeah, I guess initially string to mind was Stevie G, because he's my idol growing up.
Yeah.
But I guess you can look at it. I think mine would all be sporting people, just because I'm very sports driven. I think if it wasn't Steven Gerrard, I'd love to run with somebody like Mo Farah. I mean, he would leave me in the dust, and he probably wouldn't want to run with me. It'd be like walking. But I've seen him on lots of interviews and stuff, and he just seems like a very funny guy,
doesn't he?
Do you know that? Sorry, before you just say the next one, the only thing with Mo Farah that I would really worry about is like I'd be running too slow for him. So then we'd finish the run, and he'd be like, "Oh, do you know what? I'm really sorry. Like, I'm gonna have to go and do another run because that workout was not enough for me."
But surely Mo Farah runs 5K, and he's like, "What was that? Was absolutely
that's completely pointless to me." Also, that's one thing we have spoken about. It was this morning. Do you see? Well, first of all, there was a guy that cycled from Bristol, to the run.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Bristol.
He was doing the run report. We could read up on that.
Yeah,
we'll have to
that's a long
look
way.
to see the distance between here and Bristol, because it's not.
You might make his run report. Jack Martin got a PB.
Secondly, well, I don't know if you fully clocked it, but Jack, me and you were creased at this. There was a guy who rocked up to parkrun, and he was like dripping with sweat.
Like he's just got out of the shower.
What are you doing? Where have you been?
It's like he's running an ultra marathon before he got there.
On a Saturday.
I know.
I also I mentioned it to you guys before, and I think we're very casual with parkruns, and we turn up and we're like, we can run 24 minutes, whatever, do a few little squats and swing my legs around and go, and then off you go.
I'm ready, let's go,
At what point do you become that parkrun elite where you're running the track beforehand? It's like a practice lap, isn't it? Like going around, and then you've got people like doing little shuttle runs up and down.
Yeah, dynamic stretching. Just really getting ready.
Do you think we will hit a point in life where we will do that, or do you think we're just way too laid back?
I don't think I could take a parkrun that seriously. But who knows, right? I wouldn't have said that I'd be. This time last year, I wouldn't have said I've been doing parkruns at all. To be fair,
it's just like see these guys, just like
I love it.
It's just that like the dynamic, like the varsity of like people that go to parkrun is like really incredible. You get like those kind of people. Then you also get people who are like, double our age, who are also cruising past us, by the way.
I know. I made
that's that thing the other day.
Oh yeah, this he must have been in his 80s, and he'd just completed his 500th parkrun, which is
insane.
An incredible.
And how long is that? That's what over 10 years.
Over 10 years, yeah.
I'm
minimum. And that's committing to it every single weekend.
That's obscene.
I've been doing parkruns. We said last week for 5 years. I'm on 127-8 parkruns.
Yeah,
that's 5 years. And I haven't been able to go every single Saturday, but still, like he's been. That's incredible.
That's such a commitment.
Sorry, but I interrupted your answer. So you talked about Mo Farah.
You've got so Steven Gerrard, and then you've got Mo Farah, because I'd love to pick his brain because like compared to any athlete, we're novices, right?
Yeah.
So pick his brain about anything running, because I'm sure there's so many tips that they could give you.
Absolutely.
Even just by looking at you, they could be like, your shoes are wrong, or I don't know, like your strides, you need to change that, or your hips are too tight.
You need to warm up.
You need to warm up. Yeah, that would help. But then also, I think being a big golf fan, and obviously the Masters is on at the moment.
Yeah.
There's two people. You've got Tiger Woods, because
his knee wouldn't hold up there,
greatest of all time.
What's that?
His knee wouldn't hold up there.
Well,
yeah,
I could push him in a buggy.
Tail walk. You can tail walk at the back. Tail walk at the back.
Go on a
But
walk.
I think Tiger is one of those athletes that, I don't know, as a golf fan, you never want him, like every competition he enters, you want him to win it.
Yeah.
Because we grew up, he basically revolutionised the game. He made it cool. And like all of us watch golf because of Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
And he's a multiple major winner. He's a Grand Slam winner. And just being able to pick his brain over some of the battles he's had over the years.
Somebody that's been so consistently the greatest at that sport
would be unbelievable. Yeah. And then another one in the golf scene, I think we just love him, would be Rory McIlroy. And I think Rory would be a really interesting one about mental.
Because he's gone 14 years without winning another major.
Yeah, and he's been through it in terms
Really
of
has.
he's so successful, and he's been, and it probably is at the moment, the best golfer in the world. But he's struggled to win this major, and by the time we release this podcast, fingers crossed that Rory comes out and he's got a green jacket. But
it's big round, third round today.
I would love to tap into his mental. How does he go from major to major, knowing that A, everybody's rooting for him, but B, like he's got this, that it's a track record of being the nearly man, even though you're this seriously successful athlete. So I'd love to tap into just his mental state and how he gets through that, because that must be so hard, but he's kept himself at the top. He might not be winning the majors, he's winning other events, and he keeps himself up there. I don't know how mentally you do that.
It's the hardest part, isn't it? Like when you reach the top, but then staying there as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And be able to remain at that top level for such a long period of time.
And trying to remain so consistent and showing up, putting in all of the work. It's quite a common saying in boxing, like, how do you get up and train at 5 o'clock in the morning when you're waking up in silk sheets? Like, how do you still find the motivation to go and try and to keep going to get more?
Straight away for me though, like who I'd want to have a parkrun with me. For those of you that know me, I think the answer is pretty obvious. I would go Harry Styles. I think he's so cool.
Yes, he's a serious runner now.
Yeah, he is a serious. He ran the Tokyo? Tokyo Marathon, 3.5 hours.
3.5 hours, yeah.
3.5. But I just think I would want to do a nice casual run with him, very much like we often do. Have a chat. I'd like to just like similar to you, tap into his mind. But I also think he had to have serious running tips, but also like running tips from the style of like the fact he's not an athlete. Like how he does running through enjoyment. He does running through like for exercise. He has those tips. But also like I just think he'd know he wouldn't, like for example, like an athlete who's sponsored by Nike would go, oh yeah, you got to get the Nike stuff. Nike's great. Again, there are plenty of brands here, but like for someone like that who's an avid runner and has probably tried and tested lots of brands and doesn't really have any bias towards something, it'd be cool to like get his you know, like stuff like that.
Do you know what? This isn't about the running scene, but about Harry Styles. Is when we all went to see, I know you've seen him multiple times, but when we went to go see him at Wembley and we were all there, turning up to that concert, right? And you had basically, well, obviously he's got a massive female following, but you had men from our age all the way up to dads and whatever, all turning up wearing feather boas, pink shirts. And you know what? I felt like humanity was just healing at his concert. It was just like suddenly being, obviously, like wearing pink things and feather boas and stuff it's been seen as like, oh, it's not very masculine, and why would you do that? Being at this concert was so, I loved it.
It's just an inclusive like environment.
And nobody was scared to just be like, do you know what? This is cool. And that Harry Styles has made that cool.
I love
100%.
that.
I absolutely love that.
He is like the modern day like pop culture icon of like our generation. But also like that environment that you're talking about is a really similar feeling to what I had, like in the way of like I don't have any worries. Like when we all went to that, when I was like all my worries go away. No, but like when I was at his gig at Wembley, like everyone's there for the same reason. Like everybody is there to like have a good time. No one's there to like have a go at each other or have an argument, like get rowdy with a few drinks and stuff. And it was the same with like the half marathon the nearly half marathon I did. Like
it's such a shame you have to say that.
But like the environment is so like inclusive and so like it was amazing to be fair.
In a running event you never feel like you're not an elite runner, or you feel like people are better than you, because
no judgmental.
There's people
like,
across all sorts of demographics, and they're all there to just do the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
And like I was saying about
goals.
the 5K, as soon as you run over 5K distance, nobody cares about your time anymore.
Yeah.
Like everyone, it's like you ran 10K. Wow, well done. You ran 15K. Unbelievable.
It's
20K. What? Like half
by
marathon.
the point, it just gets like impressive that you've actually reached that target.
Yeah, and it's like a marathon.
Yeah,
because
to me,
if you finish it in 3 hours, finish it in 4 hours. Like I finished it in 4.5, and I was a bit disappointed. But all of you lot were like, mate,
I can't
you just
believe
run a
you've done that.
marathon.
I remember when we were in
like,
London spectating that, right? So as you all know, I'm very new to running. We were watching your marathon. Spent the entire day in London, walking around. I think we had to take a pit stop and go and get some lunch at some point because we were all knackered just walking around. And I couldn't quite comprehend at the time. I couldn't quite comprehend that you were still running that entire time.
On that as well, in my nearly half marathon. So after I finished, I was with everybody. Serena turned to me at one point. She was like, "God, my feet are hurt. I've done so much walking today." I was like, "Oh, have you really?"
I remember I was chatting to Rosie on the train back, looking at my steps that day, thinking, "Oh my God, yeah, I've done like 30,000 steps." And there was a woman and her partner that had just run it on the same train. Looked at theirs and I've done like 60,000. I've literally just run a marathon. What are you complaining about? Yeah, fair enough.
Well, Jack, did you have anything you wanted to bring to the table?
Yeah, so I had a question as well. Something that I've thought about a lot over the years, and it's around just fitness motivations. Really, what keeps you guys coming back for more? Turning up each week, whether it's going to the gym, running. Really, what just keeps you ticking over?
Max, should I go?
Yeah, I mean, I touched on it at the start. Obviously, like signing up to stuff has been a big thing for me. Like I need to get something, like having a purpose, like working towards something. And like I've always gone to like exercise from like a young age. Like I've always like swam or like gone to the gym. But I guess I don't want to get like deep, but like I've always struggled with like body dysmorphia and stuff. Like so that's something I don't know why. Like it's always something I struggle with. And I think when you're in school, you start going to the gym because like you aspire to have like the perfect body, like the perfect abs, perfect arms, like look, wham.
Do you remember those Hollister bags that the girls all had?
No, exactly. We grew up in that time, isn't it? Like you're walking around.
You're thinking like that's all that's going to get me laid.
Yeah, and I think, but I think like I look back at that like time in my life, and I feel like maybe that's really influenced like the reason why I'm so heavy about like working out and like fitness motivations, which is maybe unhealthy. And it's only recently like my thought process to working out has changed, not so much to like what my body is to look like, what I want my body to look like. It's more about, well, no, like what's your reason for training? Like what am I training towards? Because obviously now since I've changed my motivation to achieving and finishing a half marathon in a good time, I've been going to the gym nearly every day, swimming 3 to 4 times a week, and naturally, like because I'm not going to achieve for my body to look in a particular way. I'm going for clarity of mind,
a different target,
and physical fitness, and my body has naturally developed and changed into
absolutely.
I think this is something that, and I've spoken to you boys about this before, is once you enter the running world, it's an interesting world because body image isn't a big thing in the running world.
Not
because you would have found it when you ran your half marathon, like we've just talked about, is the demographics, the different body shapes. Like there's people tall, small, like I feel when I run, I feel like a stocky runner. Like my brother's quite he just looks like he lollops along, tall and slim, and makes it look very easy. I feel like I make running look quite hard.
Oh, I definitely do. I feel like I make running look about as hard as it can.
Like we said, there's tree trunks under your arms.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the fighter in you, just but I do think that's one really positive thing about entering running is that nobody looks at anybody else. Because when you run parkrun, like we were talking about this 80-year-old, you literally have people who are my mum's and dad age. They just run past you, and you're like,
so many prams,
But-
like pushing like two
Yeah,
kids
I
in
know.
prams. You're
Up
like,
hills
where
as
have you
well.
gone? Yeah.
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 I remember I made that mistake when I first started parkruns. I remember there was one week I came on my own, and I was using everybody around me to try and gauge where I should roughly fit in terms of pace. And I've set off, and there was this older gentleman. I thought, like, oh, there's no way this guy can be faster than me, surely. So I've tried to hang on to his heels, and I must have got about a kilometre in, and I was like just completely blown away by how quick he was, and how consistently fast that man was. And it was completely humbling experience seeing him just shoot off into the distance. I thought, okay, this is a different game.
Yeah, no, that's one thing. You have.
Just
go into my motivations behind exercise. I think I come from quite an active background, like my family, and obviously you guys are quite active. So I think it's nice to be active, and what keeps me motivated in that is like being able to do stuff with you, and then also being able to do stuff with like my dad. Like I did a high rocks with him. And being able to do those things, because I really like the social side of exercise. Like we've all been to the gym together. We've done different stuff together. Obviously, we're now talking about signing up to events. It's brought us to do a podcast together.
Exactly.
All of that stuff. So I really like that side of it, and that's one of my big things. It's like after the parkrun last week, we all sat there for an hour. Like you had my mum and dad, you had your sister, and it was just all these different demographics coming together and people talking. So I love that side of it.
Yeah.
So that keeps me motivated. I want to be fit enough to do things. And then probably just like, I think I've learned over the years, like I've never been able to like dedicate to like weightlifting and getting this perfect look or getting a six pack or whatever. But when I do exercise, and it's really easy to not do exercise, like we all know that, like mentally it's really easy to just be like, I won't do it. But when you mentally feel good after you've done runs or whatever, you look at yourself in a completely different light. So I could do a whole week of running, look exactly the same as I do a week of not running, and I'd look at myself completely differently in the mirror.
It is so true.
And that mental feeling of like the endorphins after a run, and just looking at yourself and going, do you know what, I am fit, I am physically fit. Doesn't matter what I look like when I take my top off. I can do all these things. I think that's sort of like I like that feeling. And obviously like what's crazy like is about like image and stuff is obviously we were talking the other day, and like obviously we were at Centre Parks and like we were in the swimming in the rapids and stuff, and like you feel very self-conscious, but I think you look great, which is great, and that's what is created.
Exactly.
So,
that's true.
And like on that, I think there's never going to be a point where, as an individual, you feel like you're at your ideal body type. Because I think like years ago, I would have been absolutely over the moon. Like I was short and skinny, absolutely over the moon with the size I am now. But right now, I'm thinking like, don't think it's that great. Like, there's never a point where you're going to be content, I don't think. So just getting over that barrier and thinking like it doesn't actually matter what I can look like, it's about what I can do with your body.
And just like before we can maybe move on to like something else, but like on this topic, like the big thing, maybe this is just me, I don't know if anyone else can relate to this, but like the big thing for me is like I have a real thing. It's not so much like I enjoy the gym, similar to you, or like the endorphins that you get from exercising in general is like amazing, especially parkrun. Obviously, we're real advocates for people to go parkrun, exercise, and socialize, like that side of things. But even just going to the gym for me, sometimes like the feeling that I get of not going to the gym outweighs.
Yeah, it's a very good point.
Like if I don't go to the gym one day, I feel so much worse than if I
think I know what you're trying to say. Like if it's hard to get to the gym and you might not enjoy it while you're there, but that feeling of not enjoying it while you're there or having a hard workout is worse than the almost guilt, I guess, feel for not going.
Kind of. But it's also like I'm trying to it's really, really difficult to explain what I mean. But like it's almost like I would prefer the I just hate the feeling that I get when I don't go. Like I hate feeling regret. If I don't go to the gym, like I really, really regret it. So I'd rather go, even if I don't want to go, in order to make sure that I don't feel regret for not going to the gym.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's
also
healthy or not, but
by going to the gym or running or whatever form of exercise it is, it allows you to be very guilt-free on just enjoying things, right?
Yeah,
So you could literally do a 10-minute run, and then because you feel good for the rest of the day, you're like, do you know what? I'm going to eat that bag of crisps or whatever, and then you don't have those second thoughts. But when you don't do that, and obviously people are all different, right? But when you don't do that, you overanalyze diets and all of that stuff.
I mean, you might have already seen, we'll probably post something behind the scenes recording this podcast, and the phones are set up at the moment on a couple of crates of Corona, and I'm going to feel great about drinking all of those because I got a PB
this morning. Exactly.
Right.
I was going to throw in an entry to Paula's Corner.
Oh, yes.
You fancied it?
Before we do,
Go on.
we've had a couple of questions of why it's called Paula's Corner.
Oh yeah.
So I thought I'd just answer that and just be very clear of why we've gone for Paula's Corner. So for those of you, as this is a running podcast, like inspired by running or exercising, when we were coming up with the idea for the podcast, I straight away started thinking about famous athletes and like running athletes, and one of the most successful and famous British athletes is Paula Radcliffe, who does have probably the most embarrassing running story out there, where was it the London Marathon?
I think it was, yeah.
Where she, needed to use the facilities, but unfortunately there were no facilities in sight. And obviously, your body can do weird and wonderful things, and you can't control that. So she had to stop, drop, and use facilities on the side of the road in front of all the spectators.
Yeah.
So that is why I thought I'd call this segment of embarrassing stories
Paula's Corner. Yeah.
So Will,
and
please,
we love your entries.
Yes. So please, we've had a couple, but we'd love to just get a bank of them and then we can roll them out. So please send them in on our socials at It's Got Legs Pod.
Yeah.
But yeah, Will, take it away.
So my one, this is when I was younger, so probably a teenager. So most years go down to Isle of Wight as a family with my dad's side. And this was sort of in the period where I'd fallen out of not doing sports every single day at school. And in the period of like, you're trying to figure out what exercise looks like. So you just think you're physically fit, but actually you're not as fit as you were.
Yeah.
So there was this 5K fun run, which started, basically there's this like, by the harbour, they put up a marquee and obviously lots of people there and stuff. And so I ran it with my dad and we started this 5K and the route was sort of around, you ran down the harbour up by the sea. So it was a really nice run. We probably made it about a kilometre in and I was struggling, right? So I had to stop. Like Dad would be like, come on, like we can keep going. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, and I've got this real mental thing when I work out with, I think it's certain people I get very competitive with, and my dad is one of them. And I'm like, okay, I can't stop. I can't like, I don't know. I guess it's like the feeling of like letting people down or whatever,
Okay.
I can't stop. So probably get halfway through this run, I was just like starting to feel really sick. But it's like, so we probably stopped again and had to like gather my thoughts. And what's mad now is obviously we cruised through a 5K, and looking back, it's like the distance doesn't seem a lot. So my dad at this point is probably thinking like, my son's not got it.
He's not with me.
Yeah. So we keep going through. As we go through, I'm feeling gradually more sick. Like, and I used to have a thing where like every form of exercise I did, I'd end up being sick because I pushed myself too much.
Where's this going?
So we're coming into the finish, right? And the finish is back to where it started, which is this little field. And you run alongside the harbour and you go over this little bridge, and then you're probably within 50 metres of the finish line and everyone's finishing.
Yeah.
So up ahead, you can see everyone finishing, everyone's clapping in, like everyone's enjoying the finish. My dad's still dragging me along because I'm really struggling. At this point, I'm feeling really unwell. And we get to this bridge and finish line's in sight. So like we're within like close. 50 metres. And I think at that point, just relaxed.
Yeah.
And just sort of was just almost finished. And I just couldn't hold it in any longer.
Oh, no.
And I just spewed over the edge of this bridge into the sea. And like, I I could have done at any point of the run and nobody would have seen me.
Yeah.
But you had the entirety of everyone supporting who was standing like by this marquee, and there was me after a 5k, like this I don't know how old I was, but teenager just throwing up over this bridge.
Did you have the classic like everybody's cheering people over the line? They're like, ooh.
Well, yeah, because I'm running over the line. I look white as a sheet. Like, there's a picture of me. I look so ill, and it's like you're like wiping your face.
Oh
just
no!
And it was just one of those very humbling experiences of like mentally, I was like, I'll do this fun run, absolutely fine.
Yeah, no
and
problem.
then you do it, and you're like,
Worst bits from life.
well, yeah.
Reminds me a bit of
I've got humbled.
a few months ago when we were up in Southport for a little golf trip. We had, well, I think I took it a little bit too far on the Friday night.
Yeah, this is self-inflicted, right?
Yeah, this one was absolutely my fault. I took it a little bit too far on the Friday night, but still managed to get myself up and at the parkrun in Southport Saturday morning. And it was similar to what we're trying to do today, actually. Just holding on to your hills, running with one of our friends.
It's quite hard to run when people are holding on to your heels all the time.
And yeah, we must have got about 3/4 of the way through. I've dropped way off the back of these guys. Started to feel really, really sick. Again, very similar, but I did a slightly less embarrassing thing and just took myself off behind a tree, threw up.
What was funny about that actually is like we lost Jack without even realising we'd lost Jack.
Yeah, I just I knew it. I think I knew it was happening,
and then
so I just fell off.
But then, like a K later, Jack's suddenly back up with us again. And it's like, where'd you go, mate? And he was like, oh, but I'm back.
Yeah, I think that was a PB as well, actually, that day.
Flying PBs.
That's the way to go.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, thank you all. Thank you. Well, thank you both for the entry. That's good.
Problem.
We have. Do you know what? We've covered a lot of stuff, and we are on. Well, you know, yeah, we're on a good old time here. So I think maybe it's a good time to
wrap up.
Yeah, close to an end. So thank you for the entry, but also thank you to everybody that's joined us again. Obviously,
thank you very much.
Yeah, we've had a really, really good, like we said at the start of the podcast, support from friends and family, but also just like random people who have joined us in this podcast journey.
Yes.
So please do continue to share.
And like I said at the end of episode 1, if you've made it to the end of episode 2,
yeah,
you are loyal listeners. So
Yeah,
thank
you are.
you.
Yeah.
We don't. So,
It genuinely means a lot because
Yeah.
this is obviously new for all of us. So any support that we can get.
So as we thank the marshals, thank the listeners.
Yeah, thank the
Thank you.
marshals, thank the listeners. Yeah, thank you very much. Make sure you check us out on all our social medias at It's Got Legs Pod. That's on YouTube, Spotify,
Apple Music,
Apple Podcasts, Apple Music, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I've been doing some questionable TikToks. Keep up my TikToks. But yeah, now thank you for joining. Before we go, next week we were meant to be going Brighton.
Yes,
That's a little bit.
It's a maybe now.
Yeah,
It will be a parkrun on the road because Wakehurst isn't available.
Yeah.
So it will be another away
So
date.
keep an eye out for our socials to find out where we're going to be at. We might be at your local parkrun. Get in touch with us.
Yes.
Yeah. So
we'll have to play that one by ear.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll probably put it
Potentially-
out on our socials to let you know where we're going to be.
potentially Crawley, potentially Brighton.
Somewhere like
outside of
that,
Jet,
yeah.
We'll, so we'll keep an eye out for the socials, find out where we are. But thank you everybody for joining once again. We do really appreciate your support. And that is It's Got Legs. Signed off.